Hey, everybody, welcome to the Sola and Tito Show. I am here with Miss Heather Revelle, and I can't wait to share with you what's all happening. I'm Glory St. Germain from Ultimate Music Theory, and we've got a fabulous live event coming up, Music Business Mastery. And you can go ahead and get registered at musicbusinessmastery.live. But first, let's kind of dive into the differences between teaching maybe in different countries. So Heather, introduce yourself and where you are from, young lady.
Hi, everybody. I'm Heather, and I live in New Zealand. And I am so thrilled to be connected with Glory and the Ultimate Music Theory with the masterclass and everything, because I felt quite alone. And now I've got friends all over the world, and it's wonderful. Yeah.
It is, isn't it? One of the things I think I'm so passionate about in our Ultimate Music Theory teachers community is just the camaraderie and the friendship. And oftentimes we think, oh, well, teaching is different in different parts of the world. And I'm sure there's things that are different, but there's a lot of things that are the same. And one of the things you just mentioned, Heather, was just feeling that aloneness. And I certainly have felt that as a teacher because my friends aren't all teachers, and so they don't usually understand the struggles perhaps that I'm going through. But what would you say is something that you have felt is maybe different in New Zealand than with the teachers that you chat with in North America?
Well, historically in New Zealand, we have gone with ABRSM or Trinity College exam syllabi, and being exposed to friends in North America who follow the RCM syllabus more. So that's been a little bit different because the levels are quite different. And then, of course, my friends in Australia, a lot of them teach the Australian syllabi. So it's been quite challenging or interesting to see the different levels, what's expected at different levels.
Yeah.
And because I teach several instruments, I've got a little bit of fun there, with moving from classical to jazz as well on the different instruments. And I have found it's the levels of, like I think RCM has 12 or 13 levels or something
Yes.
like that, in the exam syllabus, whereas we are used to 8.
Right.
So yeah, but it's been easy to sort of to understand and to transition a lot of my students, which I have done to the Ultimate Music Theory, of course, which has been
Yes.
great.
And
Yeah.
I think what's interesting too is that although when we talk about an examination system, the language of music theory is still the same language. Dynamics are dynamics, articulation is articulation. So that's kind of the sameness. And I think what else is the same is our passion for teaching and being effective communicators, because sometimes I found that for myself, there was no place to actually learn how to teach music theory. Where did I go? I just learned it, and then you kind of were thrown to the wolves, and as a teacher you were expected to teach. So what was maybe one of your takeaways in going through the certification program?
Oh boy, that's been fun because I haven't done music theory, like learnt music theory, in a long time, because I've been teaching a long time.
Right.
But I have taught music theory all along, but most of my students have only gone up to grade 6,
Mhm.
ABRSM or Trinity. And then, of course, a few years ago, I had an accident with severe concussion. So that affected some of my brain capabilities, which has been a bit of a tough one as well. So doing the certification course has been quite difficult, but also it's helped me remember things that I had maybe forgotten. And I've learnt new concepts. You've actually, the way you teach it in the Ultimate Music Theory program, there's new concepts in there. Well, there's new ways of learning the
Mhm.
same old concepts, but they're more interesting and it's more fun. And of course, with the app, we've got the app with the Ultimate Music Theory app as well, which is amazing. And I've got students who use it. I use it in class as well. But I realized that it's actually there for me to use myself as well.
Yes.
So it's great. It's a fabulous app. Really, really useful.
Well, and I know that even when you talk about your injury and overcoming those obstacles, I think music has that power to help us come back from these, medical problems sometimes that we face. And because you had that skill set, it came back much easier than if you wouldn't have had any of music. I mean, they always say music makes you smarter. But when I look at you, Heather, I know that teaching music makes you better looking. And that's what I'm going to stick with. That's what my mother always said. She goes, just keep teaching. Music makes you smarter, but teaching makes you better looking. And I'm like, well, I hope that's going to happen soon because I've been teaching a long time. So I don't know. But I think one of the fun things, too, is really having an opportunity to learn how other teachers teach, online, teaching in other countries. But one of the wonderful things that you're doing, Heather, is you're now also, teaching music. You're teaching music theory. You're teaching piano lessons, but you're also teaching guitar. And that's so exciting. And how wonderful is it that you are providing musicianship skills? Musicianship skills so that it doesn't matter what instrument you play. And even if you're teaching voice, you still need to have that language, right? So that you might switch it up from one instrument to the next.
For sure. And even beyond that, I teach woodwind as well. And I have done, woodwind, guitar and piano for years. And have been involved in so many other activities, with teaching in schools, teaching in the community, and with my private studio. So, music theory, you can't ignore it. You just have to have it. And, I know my some of my woodwind students, they go, oh, but Miss Heather, why do I have to learn the bass clef notes? I don't want to learn the bass clef. I don't play in the bass clef. What would I do that? And I said, well, you've got to understand the whole language of music and how it all fits together. And you can't just have half the information. You've got to have the whole of the information. And they benefit from it and they get it.
Yeah. And
great.
One of and why I'm so excited to chat with you today, Heather, is that when you're providing that for these musicians, when I look back at some of my own students that were perhaps taking piano lessons and then shifted to bass guitar, but because they had an understanding of the staff and of rhythm and time signatures, like for them, it was much easier just to pick up another instrument. If you're taking, for example, guitar and you decide, I just want to dabble a little bit on some keyboard stuff. Well, because you're giving them those tools, it's so much easier to do that. And I think when we look at the big picture of running a music studio, and obviously you're doing that, you've taught in the schools, one of the keys too is to think about marketing. Like, how are we going to fill our studios? How are we going to get those students coming in? And it's one of the things that we're going to talk about in our live event. It's 3 days. I'll pop up the links, those of you that are watching. It is musicbusinessmastery.live. You can learn all about what we're going to be covering in the 3 days, which is mindset, strategies, and tools to not only fill your studio, but how you can teach effectively, how you can teach with passion, get excited yourself about teaching, get your students excited about teaching. But let's just talk a little bit about the mindset, because you've had to overcome that, not only because you were obviously had an injury, but how has mindset kind of shifted for you since coming into our program?
I was always aware of a good mindset or a bad mindset, but having come into the program, your coaching is amazing, Gloria. I just have to say.
Thank you.
But coming in and learning about a growth mindset, and then you backing it up with the facts of how this actually affects you in a far better way than staying back here with a set sort of, a set mindset, for lack of a better word. it's like being stuck in the mud. I don't know if you've ever played that game at school where you had to run and then all of a sudden it was freeze, and we used to call it
Yes.
stuck in the mud, and you weren't allowed to move until someone else came along and tagged you. Well, yeah, it was a little bit like being stuck in the mud, and there are times when you feel like that, you are stuck in the mud, and then there's other times where you hook into this. No, hang on a minute. I've got a growth mindset. I'm moving forward. I am confident. I actually know what I'm doing. I am good at what I do. And let me help more people to do that. So, that shift has been wonderful. And being able to share that with my colleagues through Ultimate Music Theory has just been, we're all so inspiring to each other. It's so wonderful. Yeah, this is really cool.
I think that's one of my favorite things in having our Ultimate Music Teachers community. And I invite you all to join us in our Facebook group, Ultimate Music Teachers Facebook group, and also make sure to get registered for musicbusinessmastery.live for our 3-day event. We will be adding some coaching in there as well. So we'll have some hot seat coaching and some Q&A. But when I look at our community and I see how music educators such as yourself have become friends and colleagues and connected with accountability partners, because when you show up and you have a mindset that says, I'm coming with an empty cup, I'm ready to learn, that's when change happens. Yeah. And if you think you can or you think you can't, either way, you're right. That's what's going to happen. And I love learning. I'm passionate about learning. I love coaching and I love being coached. I've had coaches in my life and I continue to do so to this day. I love my coaches because they can always elevate you. And I think even if we look at the athletes in the world, even the great athletes, they all have coaches, and it's really important to be open to have that growth mindset. And the wonderful thing is that once you understand that, you can help your students move through that as well, right?
Yes, definitely. Yes. And because a lot of children come, or even adult students come along and they go, I can't do this.
Yeah.
I can't do this. Oh, this is so hard, Miss Anna. It's so hard. I can't. And I go, well, actually, there might be 1,000 dots on the page.
Yes.
But let's just take a look a little bit and we'll have a look at these 2 bars or this 1 line. Oh, look, we can find that same 2 bars down further in the music as well. Oh, yes, I can do this. Yeah. And it's like, yeah. And I said, that's a simple thing with teaching, how the students can respond to that and also just move into that growth mindset of their own as well. Yes.
Well, and it's such a wonderful thing. I think too, sometimes it's fun to play a little game called You Be the Teacher, right? And let them teach you. It's one of my favorite things I would do with my students is I would teach them a concept and then I would say, okay, Tag, you're it. Now you be the teacher and you teach me. And for them to think about how to explain this concept and how to teach me, that's when they really internalize it. Because if you can't teach it, you don't really know it. And when we go through our live event, I want to be able to teach you these mindset strategies and tools so that you can internalize it and you can teach it to your students, because that's when the magic happens. And what's coming up next for you, Heather?
Oh, coming up next. Well, I'm currently writing a book.
Nice.
And looking at coaching from that and helping music teachers. But I've got the guitar course started. That was launched just a couple of days ago. And I'm currently writing another course to follow on from that. And then who knows? Great. I'm now teaching mostly online, a lot of group classes, which as I was a trained teacher, and so I learned all about, classroom management, and I've taught in classes and talked to groups, and I love public speaking. I find it hard to shut up sometimes, but fine, because I love to talk about music and how it works, and how you can, or whoever I'm talking to, how they can actually do it. Come on, you can do this. So, what's next for me? I don't know. I'm
Wow.
just putting it out there to the universe. I've got lots of things on the go, so
You do. And
watch this space.
And I want to say a congratulations because Heather is also an international best-selling author. She is in our Power of Why Musicians anthology series. And I love, love, love your story. Heather, thank you so much for going so deep and being so passionate about sharing your why in the Power of Why Musicians series. And if you haven't read it yet, I invite you all to check it out, the Power of Why Musicians series. And you can read, there it is right there. She's not only once, but twice an international best-selling author. Three international best-selling author, right? Absolutely. So I'm really proud of you, Heather. Thank you so much for joining me today. And I invite all of our teachers to sign up for musicbusinessmastery.live. It's a free event, 3 days. It's going to rock your music teaching business. So I look forward to seeing you all there. Thank you, Heather.
Bye.
Bye. Oh, Sola wants to say goodbye. Bye, Heather.